Okay, welcome back everyone to this YouTube channel where in today's video I'm going to do something slightly different. In the previous video I did an incremental cycling test to determine my VO2max and my lactate thresholds, but instead of going straight to a human expert to analyze my data, I had the crazy idea, what if I simply asked ChatGPT to do it instead for me, and thereby asking the question, is ChatGPT being able to do what exercise physiologists are currently doing, and thereby are exercise physiologists under threat to be replaced by artificial intelligence in the future? So coming up in this video, I'll go over those results and I'll ask ChatGPT to do the analysis for me. And maybe I realize that my data is pretty good and I could be competitive, or maybe my dreams are going to be crushed by ChatGPT. Either way, let's dive into the results straight away. So what you can see here is the Excel sheet that's being produced, and there's a few things that we can look at. So here you can see I did some pre-editing in this document before, but as you can see in the top row we have our outcomes, which in particular interest VO2. So the oxygen uptake in both absolute amount and relative amounts. We're usually interested in the relative oxygen uptake. And you can see in the other columns, we have time, we have the intensity of each stage that I was completing or that I was cycling on. So yeah, we're scrolling down through this document. There's a few bits that are also of interest, RER and substrate oxidation, but we're not going to look at that. And first up, we have our VO2max outcome. So usually we average the 30 seconds of the highest rolling VO2 uptake. As you can see, VO2max calculated on this occasion is 66.5 mils per kilogram per minute. The second thing, we measured that lactate at the end of each stage from the tip of our finger, blood sample from the tip of our finger. And when I produce a lactate curve, then we can see what our lactate thresholds are. So as a human being, I have my fair bit of experience in analyzing these lactate thresholds from past tests on athletes, so we can do this before we going to ask ChatGPT what to do. Lactate threshold 1, as you can see, is usually where we say there's the first big increase compared to low intensity exercise intensities. So in this case, the first substantial rise in lactate is happening at around 275 watts. So that's LT1. LT2, as you can see, we usually use the threshold of 4 millimoles per liter to signify or to define the second lactate threshold, which happened probably just after 325 watts for me. So that's why I write down 325 watts there. So keep these values in mind when we're going to ask ChatGPT to do the analysis. So LT1, I'd say as a human being analyzing this, 275 watts, and LT2 325 watts. So that's going to be the numbers we're going to compare against what ChatGPT will do for us. Okay, so now it's time to go into ChatGPT and ask it to analyze my numbers. Now, I have already written up and I'm just copying and pasting a few prompts and questions into it. So let's go over and see how ChatGPT does. So the first question is simply to set the scene, tell it what I did. So I did an incremental test on a bike, doing 3-minute stages, increments of 25 watts. Can you please help me with identifying these physiological thresholds based on the lactate readings at the end of each step? So yeah, it's absolutely fine. Just give me the data, which I then copied into. It's coming up with a summary of the ramp test. Does notify the rise in lactate at 300 watts and a sharp decline after 325 watts. So it does say here 240 to 250 watts, it gives me my LT1, and 335 to 340 for my LT2. So remember, I would have put it at 275 and 325 watts. So it is a little bit off to what I would claim to be the lactate thresholds. But let's continue. I do ask it just to see if it wants to have my heart rate for further assistance in setting up heart rate targets for training zones, because that's usually helpful when you're out on the bike and you wear your heart rate monitor, see what sort of heart rate you want to sit at for your particular intervals. So yeah, that's just happening here. So remember, it's quite interesting to see that it is giving me a lower LT1 value than I would say so myself, and a slightly higher LT2 than compared to what I would suggest it is. The heart rates for the cutoff point, they do look pretty much in line with what I would expect or know from personal experience they are. So the next question then is, how do these numbers compare? Are these numbers any good? Are they actually quite poor? So I just wanted to test ChatGPT to see if it is able to give some sort of verdict on these numbers. So that's what I'm typing in here. So asking, how do you know whether this is good or not? In addition, it's going to be interested because usually in cycling, it's all about watts per kilogram, so relative power output. I've not given ChatGPT my weight yet in order to make an analysis based on my watts per kg. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to ask, well, this is my weight. Can you reanalyze, or can you come up with a way to say this is good or this is bad? And probably more importantly, can I write the Tour de France with these numbers? So it does say that I've got some strong markers of aerobic fitness, but some room for improvement. So it gives me 3 reasons why it does say that there's a good, strong aerobic fitness level present in the analysis of these results. So based on the percentage of maximal heart rate and the points where it thinks the lactate thresholds occur, it's going to give this analysis here. So it does say in the strengths, as you can see, high fractional utilization, so the percentage of maximal capacity at which LT1 is close to LT2, lactate clearance. So verdict, your profile good aerobic fitness, above average for most trained cyclists. It asks me whether it needs to analyze VO2max or estimate VO2max from this protocol. So it's interesting to see what it's going to give me for this compared to the 66.5 that we observed ourselves. So here we are typing in the weight, and I'm going to ask it to reanalyze it and provide me with recommendations of my fitness level. So moment of truth, can I write the Tour de France or not with the numbers that I produce, or will dreams be crushed at this point? All right, here we go. Let's tear apart my earlier optimism. Oh, dearie me. Here we go. That doesn't look promising, does it? 3.4 watts per kilogram LT1, although I'd say it's slightly higher with the values that I predict myself. 4.7 with an LT2, that's slightly higher than I would predict myself. So earlier said fractional utilization was strong, and it still is, but in absolute performance terms, 3.4 is good for an amateur, but not an elite level. LT2 is very good in amateur terms, likely top 5-10% of trained club riders, but nowhere near pro level. Some numbers there that the Tour de France pros produce are nowhere near there. Okay, now it's giving me VO2max, and as you can see, VO2max is estimated at 62, so that's a little bit lower. Now, one of the reasons why it might be as well is because I accidentally filled in 375 watts in the final stage for the lactate. So it assumes that 375 was my final peak power output. Whereas I did get a minute into the 400 stage. So if I were to update those values, it might give a little bit of a higher reading. So relative to yourself, but Tour de France question, can I ride it? Short answer, no, not yet. Competitive locally, maybe at a high amateur level, but Tour de France climbing demands at least 1 watt per kg extra on top of my current LT2. Even flat stage riding in the peloton at pro race requires huge repeatability above LT2 with minimal fatigue, which is a different level of conditioning. So it even suggests that I would get dropped on the flat stage while drafting in the peloton, which is quite depressing, isn't it? If you want to, I can put a side-by-side summary. Do you know what? No, you crushed my dreams. So this is what I kind of like with ChatGPT. It does seem to have a sense of humor to come up with some consolation. Just the wording of it. The large language models are quite interesting to pick up some sort of funny ways to console people or just to make a joke. But hey, you've got 4.7 watts per kg at threshold, which puts you in the people on group rides hate following you. Yeah, I don't know. Do people hate following me? And that's still something to brag about, which I might start to brag about it. You're already way beyond 99% of recreational cyclists ever get, and the gap from where you are to elite amateur is much smaller than the gap from elite amateur to the Tour de France winner. You might absolutely dominate local climbs, win some races, and maybe make some riders cry on Strava. That's not a bad consolation prize. It's so yeah, that's to humour, I guess. So it does ask me now, do you want me to provide you with a training plan to increase your LT2 threshold? So yeah, let's go for it, you know, see if it lifts my spirits. So here it goes, tries to come up with a plan. Now, I have to say here at this point, I'm definitely not an expert in setting up training plans. So I'm definitely not a coach. So I would not be able to confidently comment on what it is going to prescribe in terms of this training plan. So if you are looking at this and you pause the video to see what it does suggest, feel free to leave a comment below to see or to say whether you think it's a decent suggestion for a training program to increase my LT2 threshold. So at this point, I'm just going to give up. I don't want it to give me a calendar. At this point, I'm like, well, you ruined my mood. I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you very much. So at this point, I might just well leave it there. Thank it for crushing my dreams, and gonna try and put myself back together, find all the pieces, and take stock again. So again, it gives me some trying to comfort me. Fair enough, but just, you know, not riding Tour de France doesn't make you achieve any achievements less impressive. Again, it's trying to lift my spirit. So again, interesting to read how ChatGPT is going about this back and forth communicating between human being and artificial intelligence. So we did this video to see if ChatGPT can replace exercise physiologists in the future in analysing the data that's obtained during an incremental cycling test for measuring VO2 and lactate thresholds. Well, first of all, we still need human beings to collect the data, so physical actions that can't be replaced with AI, so exercise physiologists are safe in that regard. In terms of analysing the data, maybe not entirely, but it might be closer than you think. As we recap, I did put my LT1 slightly higher than ChatGPT gave me, so it's underestimating my LT1, lactate threshold 1, whereas for the lactate threshold 2, it probably overestimated my LT2 compared to what I would set the second lactate threshold at. So maybe close, but for the time being, it seems to be that we're safe. Now, one of the things that I haven't shown you in this video is that I did run the analysis on 2 other occasions as well to see if it repeats the same outcomes, whether it's able to provide consistency in the outcome or whether there's variability. And actually on the other 2 occasions there was a mix as well. So on the first occasion it actually got some values quite spot on, but on the other occasion it was giving me an LT2 of 350 watts, so well above what my LT2 is. And also the LT1, it gave at 225 watts, so that first point where it was increased. And on the other occasion as well, the LT1 was even judged at 300 watts. So there seems to be some inconsistency still in the way that ChatGPT does analyze the data. So I think it's safe to say that for the time being, humans will be better able to analyze these physiological data from incremental fitness tests compared to ChatGPT. I hope you enjoyed this video, so that's the end. Now, if you like this video and you want to see more content in the future, feel free to leave a comment, press that like button, subscribe. Let me know in the comments what else you want to see, and we'll take it from there.